Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. I hope that you are doing amazing. Today, we are going to be putting the new Danessa Myricks Groundwork Defining Neutrals palette to the test in seeing how many different ways we can use this on the face. Now, while watching the preview and promo for this palette, it is said that it can be used on the face, on the eyes, to define the lips, to define the nose, so many different ways, and I want to put it to the test. So if you would like to see how we use the palette, what we come up with, and if it's worth your money, well then you know what to do. Just keep on watching. Before we dive into the palette itself, I want to do my base, and I took out some of my Danessa Myricks products that I haven't used in a while, and I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to be able to do them. I'll quickly show you guys how I apply them, but I'm going to be using their Vision Cream Cover. I have the color N07 and N04, so I'll be using this as foundation. I also have the Color Fix Mattes, which can be used on the eyes, lips, or cheeks. I'm using the color Desert Rose for blush because we don't have that in the palette. And I also have their Vision Flush highlighter in the color Tiara. Now I do have their cream contour in the color medium brown, but I do want to dabble into the palette to see if we can contour with those creams first. So let's get started. Now, it's been a while since I've used the Vision Cream Cover, but one thing I definitely do remember is that it is a full coverage product, and literally like you feel it on your face when you use it. So it's not something that I'm super crazy about, nor would I use all the time, hence why I haven't used it in a while. But it does give you good coverage, and I would definitely say that if you have it and you use it, you would definitely want to have something more hydrating as your base, so that it doesn't necessarily kind of just make the foundation or concealer cream look dry on the skin. But I've tried other formulas of face products, and I would definitely say this is not one of my favorites, but we are using it because I do want to use dedicated Danessa Myricks with the palette. Now I'm just gonna go in with the lighter color of those two and just conceal. I also just want to show you the palette. It retails for $65. You can buy it on Sephora, you can buy it on the Danessa Myricks website, or you can get it on Beauty Bay, and it is described as a multi-use 20 shade palette for the eyes, brows, cheeks, and lips. It is a collection of 20 satiny pomades and oil absorbing shaping powders in neutral, warm, and cool tone hues. And it says that that makes this palette perfect for framing your eyes and eyebrows, sculpting, and anything that you can think of. I do just want to prop in these swatches and an overview of the palette. We have Sandstone, Desert, Mirage, Chiseled, Sculpted, Stone, Core, Harvest, Bark, and Tourmaline. Now, moving into the palette, I want to go into a color that I can use as contour. So I think the color that I want to be able to first start off with is a combination of Bark and Chiseled. Now, the pans are not that big, like big enough as a traditional contour or bronzer would be, but we'll see how they work. So I'm just mixing those two together on the brush that I would typically contour with, and we're going to just start to apply. I mean, listen, it is showing up. That cream is definitely showing up, so I'm gonna be very particular of where I am placing it. And this we're gonna use specifically to contour. Okay, honestly, at first I was a little scared because I'm like, whoa, that looks really, really like muddy and brown, but we have to trust the process. We haven't bronzed, we haven't put everything else on. We are just working along with what things are looking like. So this is the contour colors. Also keep in mind, we haven't set anything, and that's intentional because we are working with creams. I now want to go in with a clean brush, very similar to the one that I was using, and I want to pick a warmer color. So I think the color Mirage right on in here will work well, but we're gonna just take that color and place it over. Now this one looks like it's very similar to my skin tone color, and I'm strategically placing it over that contour color we put just to warm things up a little bit, because I do feel like when you put contour, things can look a bit gray. And so I want to just make sure that, you know, we're bringing some warmth back into life. But so far, being able to use those three colors actually to contour and bronze the face, we're looking pretty good so far. And they're also blending really, really nicely. The bronzer and contour, as you can see, doesn't look as luminous and dewy as the concealer foundation cream. So it's not super dewy, but it is creamy enough that you can blend away into perfection. And it looks like it kind of has that cream to powder finish. So really, really easy to work with. This is already working as a face palette. Let's put some blush, some highlight, set, and then go into the eyes. Going into the blush shade, taking just a little tiny bit of that because Danessa Myricks products are very, very pigmented. Like that was the tiniest little drop. So I'm literally just gonna pat on where I want it and then we'll blend it out. But this looks really, really gorgeous. You can use this on the lips. Her products for the most part are very multifunctional, which I enjoy. Although honestly, I usually stick to products for what they are meant for. But I do like the versatility and option of being able to use things in multiple different ways. I have a liquid highlighter, but I think I'm gonna do that after I set. I'm gonna take my trusty Wet n Wild Photo Focus translucent powder to finally set everything into play. Do you see how setting the face just changes everything? We are looking blurred to perfection. This is the side that is not set, but we're gonna fix that. We're setting it. Now, another way that I want to use the palette is for brows. And now that we're going to brows, I remember that while reading the description for this palette, it describes the consistency of those creams as a pomade. So that honestly just took me back to when Anastasia's pomade was all the rage. And I actually just want to show you how much of a cream it is. That literally, if you put your brush really deep in, it marks it. So just beware of that. It literally is, it feels like Play-Doh, which is a very weird way to describe it, but that's the consistency of how I can literally describe what it feels like. And I'm just going to lightly fill in the brows where I would want. And so far the color Bark is what I'm using, is looking really, really nicely. And I like that I can go soft with this. It's not applying as intense as the Anastasia pomade did. So I can appreciate that. This can create a really nice and soft brow. So we are loving that. I am obsessed. Okay, so it's definitely winning as contour and bronzer on the face, but also as brows. Now taking the spoolie as I normally would to just run it through. I also love that we have different color options for brows. So if one color is like too brown or you want it deeper, you can definitely do that. So this one, now that I'm looking in it, is a little on the lighter brown side. So I can always go into the darker color here called Sculpted. And we can just add that color to where we want a bit more definition or we want it to be a bit on the darker side. But I really am loving this formula and consistency for the brows. I find that it is doing my sparse brows justice. Now that brows are filled, we can move into using the palette as eyeshadow. For the eyes, I'm thinking of doing like a halo eye. So I kind of want to do deeper and deeper and then light in the center. So we're gonna go in with a brush, and I think the color story that I want to first go with is going to be Chiseled. We're gonna go in with Chiseled first, and that's the color we're going to start to just apply on the outer edge of both sides of the eye. And it's very interesting to see how it works with the brush, because like I said, the consistency literally feels and resembles Play-Doh. Like that's literally what I can think of and the only thing I can compare it to. And so what I'm actually intrigued about is going to be its lasting powder. Like, is it going to dry out because it's a cream? How will it last? But overall, it looks like it's very well secure and covered. The palette is magnetic, so it closes it. So that should help absorb the creaminess of it, but we shall see. So I'm just applying this color right on in the middle, kind of just like as a transition shade. I think I'm gonna go into Bark, which is right on in here, and make that just a little bit deeper because I do want it to be a nice and contrasting halo eye. I haven't done one of these in a while. And so because these are creams, they are literally blending out so nicely. So I'm gonna put this down and just grab my mirror so that I can really get on in there and make sure that I am applying this product exactly where I want it. One thing I would have loved to see in this formula is a shimmer shade, because I think that that pomade creamy texture would look gorgeous as one. So who knows, maybe for a second palette along the same storyline we'll see some shimmers, but overall the mattes are performing really well with a brush. So now that I have the bulk of that down, I'm gonna go into Sandstorm, which is the lightest shade in the palette, and we're just gonna start to place it right on in the center. Now this one is gonna be a little lighter than my skin tone, so as you can see, it literally is just blending right on in, and this is looking absolutely stunning. We can definitely set it with one of the colors that we have on in there, because like I mentioned earlier, each of the creamy shades have a matte shade that we can set with. So this is what we're looking like right now. Super easy. I feel like this makes a halo eye and working with deeper colors way less intimidating because it is less messy. You don't have to worry about fallout, which I love. This is where we are with the eyes, and I must say, I think all eyeshadows need to be this formula because that makes it so easy to be able to use. Now, I do just want to take some of that Sandstorm powder, and I want to use that to just brighten up the inner corner just a little bit. We are going for a smoky halo eye, but I do like to just open up that little part of the eye. I'm also going to take that powder and just place it on the brow bone to once again just to lighten up that area. Eyes are all done. I am just taking the highlighter that I mentioned in the beginning. We are just adding some dew back into the face, and then we can give our overall impression and opinion on this palette. Okay, so this is the final look for the first makeup look that we create using the groundbreaking defining neutrals. Overall, I love the formula so much. I think it made doing the eyeshadow so easy while working with deeper colors that oftentimes are a little bit more scary. You're getting 10 creams or pomades, as they say, as well as 10 little powders to be able to set. So I really enjoy that. As you saw in the video, we used it to contour, we used it to bronze, we used it on the lips, we used it on the eyebrows and on the eyes. So overall, super multifunctional, and I definitely think it is worth the $65 price range. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. They all are mattes, so you can always just pair it with a shimmer topper that you want over the eye. But I've also used the palette to create an eyeliner look, and that is also super easy and simple to be able to add to an everyday. And overall, honestly, I'm just really impressed by it and just really happy that I picked it up. At first, I wasn't blown away by it just because I thought that it would be another neutral palette, but the formulation and the undertone of the colors is just wow. So I would highly recommend when you go into Sephora, swatch it, feel it, play around with it, and trust me, something about it will stick and make you want to take it home with you, because that's what it did for me. Alrighty guys, well that concludes this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.